The following podcast has been rated PGN. Parental guidance is neglected.
Boy, it's been a long time since we've had a little father-son chat.
I am your father.
Father, if you can hear me, I failed.
Don't let your mother smell that beer on your breath. She'll take it out on me.
I'm here with my dad.
I know what you're gonna say, son. And you're right. You're right.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
I've abandoned my boy!
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Parental Guidance Neglected. I'm home. I know it's been long awaited, but I've made it back to home base. I'm currently in my room. I'm joined, of course, by my dad, who is downstairs.
I'm always in the basement. I tried.
In the basement.
I tried. I think I did. Didn't we do like one or two episodes? Episode what, by the way, Jackson? 31, 32?
31.
31,
32.
Might be 30.
I don't know.
I don't know. You can look
it might be 31.
You can look it up while I'm telling you. I tried doing like an episode for the four people who actually watched this podcast in your bedroom when you were away at college.
You did.
And I didn't feel at home. I didn't feel comfortable. I felt like I was in your space.
Yep.
So I brought myself back down here to the basement.
This is gonna be episode 32.
To episode 32. Welcome, everybody. Episode 32, the PGN podcast, the only podcast, at least the only one we know of, two generations, father and son, talking, reviewing movies, and whatever else comes up. Jackson Burns, you are home from college. Your semester is over. You got straight D's, so you survive.
Right on the cusp. Barely scraped by.
Yeah, had to beg, steal, and borrow. Yeah. Will you be returning? Are you done, Jackson? I, of course, know this answer. Have you decided you're not going to finish college and just stay home now, or will you be returning for your...
I'm going to be dropping out to fully pursue podcasting in a full-time capacity. Geez. This will be a full-time job for me. No, I will be staying in college.
This is like the LeBron announcement. You are taking your talents...
I'm taking my talents elsewhere.
To the podcast world. No, you will be going back. However, very exciting, Jackson. For those who don't know, tell everybody where you're going before you head back to college.
Yeah, I'm going to take my school does a thing called interterm, where you can take a course during winter break if you want to for a credit. It's like one course you can take. It's like sped up. And you get it out of the way, and so I'm taking a class in Paris, actually.
Wow,
so I'm very excited for that.
Jojo, that's so exciting. Yep. My son,
and just like that, our international audience is turned off by my father's French accent.
Oui, Jojo. France just lost the World Cup. To show
they did.
Yeah, they just lost a couple days ago. I wonder if they'll still be talking about. Like, I wonder when you get there, it'll be like.
Of course they will be. Someone I was talking to said that if they won, they'd still be having celebrations by the time I got there. So I'm kind of upset that that's not going to be happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so goddamn you, Lionel Messi, is basically what I'm trying to say here.
Well, we can all be happy that we enjoyed soccer, and now we don't have to talk about it for 4 more years. Or 2 years. 2 years, I think, is when the women play, and then we'll all watch it for a day, and then we won't care anymore. But this is not a soccer podcast. There's plenty of those out there, I'm sure.
Though briefly before we move on, I just want to say, because I finished out my semester, and I know I mentioned briefly at one point that I was taking a class on the TV show 6 Feet Under.
Oh,
and so I finished 6 Feet Under. It's done. The class is over. We finished the whole series. On the last day of class, we all sat down. My teacher did like a big party. We had like pizza and stuff, and we watched the finale together for the first time. Wow. That was so good. Just so good.
Did you watch every episode, or did you skip some? So you watched?
Nope, I watched every episode.
And how many? It's been a while. I watched 6 Feet Under, the hit HBO show.
Yep.
This came back. This was before The Sopranos. 6 Feet Under. I'm almost positive it was before.
I think so. It was 2000. 6 Feet Under was 2001. I don't remember when The Sopranos came out.
It might have been a little crossover. Maybe they had a couple seasons that crossed over.
The Sopranos was 99, so The Sopranos was 2 years before. But I'm sure they were probably in production at the same point. So
yeah. And then how many seasons did 6 Feet Under run?
5 seasons.
5 seasons. I think I talked to you about this a bit. 6 Feet Under came out of the gate, really strong show, huge hit. Probably went a season too long, dragged around end of 3, 4.
Yeah.
And then 5 kind of found its sea legs and is considered one of the best TV series finales of all time.
It was so. I was crying my eyes out. It was crazy.
Very emotional.
Yeah, the first 3 seasons are really strong because when it originally got picked up, it was for 3 seasons. So the 3 seasons were written together and they're really strong. And then HBO convinced Alan Ball to do 2 more seasons, and season 4 sucks. Season 4 sucks. And then season 5 kind of brings it back, and then of course the last episode is like one of the best TV episodes I've seen in a long time. So
yeah, that was our.
They found their way. It took some time. They found their way.
Yeah, I obviously Michael. I'm forgetting the guy's name. The one who played the gay brother. I'm forgetting the actor's name right now.
His name was David in the show. I don't know.
Yeah,
what,
David. Obviously, he went on to play Dexter on Showtime.
Dexter.
Most people know he went on to, that was kind of his big next step. And then I think
Michael C. Hall.
Yeah, Michael C. Hall. Jeez, my apologies. And then was it Peter Strauss? Peter Strauss, was he the other brother? Peter something. He went on and I think did Sports Night maybe next, which was an Aaron Sorkin show that was critically acclaimed but then got canceled pretty quickly.
It was Peter Krause.
Peter Krause. Peter Strauss is an older actor. Peter Krause.
Yeah.
He kind of disappeared. I haven't really seen much of him.
He did. I haven't seen him in anything really. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, he was very good in that.
I think most of the cast I didn't really recognize anyone else except for Michael C. Hall and then the dad.
The daughter, the girl, she drives off into the series finale. She's in the one in the car. I don't know what became of her either. I mean,
me either.
I don't know if she's had enough and said that's it, or if she's working in stuff that I just don't happen to watch, but I don't know. Put a comment. I'm too lazy to IMDb it or to Wikipedia it. So if anyone knows what's going on with,
I just looked at it. She's done a couple of like small things, but nothing nearly as big as 6 Feet Under.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, yeah. So that's my son who's off at film school watching TV. So you make sense out of that. I have absolutely. I mean, I don't know what the logic is there. What are you taking next semester? What's happening? The early years or
next semester we're gonna do Golden Girls.
Golden Girls, good.
And no, it's not. I'm not taking any more. There's no more of those like TV classes to take.
That's all right. I happen to done a lot of television in my day. I'm not slamming.
That is true.
I like
true.
TV. In fact, did you see that? You see Harrison Ford is doing a TV show?
What TV show?
Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren, Academy Award-winning British thespian Helen Mirren, are doing a prequel series to Yellowstone, which is that cowboy show that people just will not shut the fuck up about. I guess there's like Yellowstone. There's a prequel to Yellowstone called...
It's called 1923.
Yeah, 1923, and now there's another one with Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford is doing. Everyone's doing TV. Kevin Costner. I guess they're all.
They all are, and Harrison Ford's obviously in the new Indiana Jones movie too, which, as we all saw from my live reaction last week, I could not be any less excited for if I tried.
You did not care for. But hey, listen. Speaking of trailers, if last week everyone was excited about the new Indiana Jones trailer. What do we think, Jackson, of the one that dropped this week? Everyone, they're saying people actually went and saw Avatar, which we're going to get to, people, don't worry. But they're saying people actually went to go see Avatar because they were dying to see the Barbie trailer. What do you think of the Barbie trailer? Kind of funny.
I don't... Look, okay, very funny nod to 2001.
Right.
I've told you this. I'm really struggling to understand... who this movie is for.
Yeah.
I don't know what tone it is. Like, is it
Well,
like I don't understand. I'm really confused. It seems to be
It's-
leaning into more of like a my generation
I don't know.
aspect of it, but I also don't know because 2001 isn't like a reference that you would use for my generation, really.
What's crazy?
I don't know.
What's crazy to me, and I remember when I heard this announced, it's being directed, or it was directed. I'm sure it's in the can by Greta Gerwig, who we actually just saw in a movie that we're going to talk about in a little bit as well. But Greta Gerwig wrote and directed Lady Bird and Little Women. And I'm like, what an odd choice to do a campy, or is it? Maybe she's so eccentric that she's just the right one for this. I mean, she's... Yeah,
I don't know.
she's
I
always-
honestly I couldn't tell you what the hell this is going to be.
I know. It's a very, I'm glad to see they gave a very strong female director the helm on this one. The 2001 nod is very funny. We get a very quick glimpse of Ryan Gosling without a shirt. And I'm not even sure what the premise is. I don't know. Is this a real world?
I have no clue.
Yeah.
I have no clue what's going on
Yeah.
at any point in the trailer, which is fun, which I prefer.
Yeah.
But I'm also more of like, it's less of like a mysterious intrigue and more of like all right, what the hell is going on here? You know?
It's not.
So that's my take.
It's not a musical, is it?
I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't heard of that.
Yeah,
If it's
I
a
don't-
musical, but
You know it's crazy, and we're not going to dedicate a full review to it because Jackson hasn't seen it, but I will bring it up, and I'll probably post something I'll do a review on. Is I actually, earlier this week before you got home, Jackson, I watched Spirited on Apple. That's the Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds, Octavia Spencer Christmas Carol take. I had no idea until I sat down and 5 minutes in that it's a musical. And I don't mean it's
and it's a Christmas Carol. It's like a remake of a Christmas Carol.
Yeah, it's like another telling of a Christmas Carol. Will Ferrell is the ghost of Christmas Present, and they're haunting Ryan Reynolds, and Octavia Spencer is Will Ferrell's love interest, and lots of weird things happen and nods. But it is there must have been 10 to 12 huge musical numbers with dances. And I'm just going to tell you right now, the songs are really well done, and everyone's going 100%. And maybe you're a fan of this. If you do a musical, aren't you supposed to hire people who can sing?
I was just gonna say none of those people.
No. I love Will Ferrell, Octavia Spencer. I know she's a friend and one of the most talented women out there. And Ryan Reynolds is good at doing what he does. All three of them.
Perfect.
I mean, look. It's not like they're just not great singers. And I'm like, why wouldn't you hire really good singers? And they, in their defense, they kind of make fun of themselves sometimes. Like there's little nods to like, I haven't even been dancing that long, or what am I doing singing a song? But by after 2 hours, you're like, yeah, you guys really shouldn't be dancing or singing a song. But I don't know. I guess to get you.
What's your favorite film interpretation of A Christmas Carol? Do you have one?
The Muppets. I love the Muppets one.
It is the Muppets. It's the Muppets one.
Michael Caine.
Let's be real. It's that one.
First off, it's
Michael Caine is Scrooge.
He's Scrooge. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I grew up, it wasn't one of those, like, I grew up on A Christmas Story, with the leg lamp, and that's my Christmas movie. But if I did watch A Christmas Carol, it's the Muppets, of course. It's Kermit.
Yeah, for sure.
Kermit.
For sure. Kermit, of course.
Yeah. So, Spirited, I cannot recommend it, but it's C-. For Spirited there.
Before we get into any bigger movies, do we want to briefly give an update on the Oscar website situation?
Yeah, we in fact we even have to talk about that.
I know.
we actually announced that we were bringing back what used to be my Oscar contest, and now would become the PGN podcast Oscar contest. I'm not saying it's not going to happen this year, but unfortunately our web designer had to bow out mid-project. I'm going to kind of get through the holidays here. We don't even have the nominations coming out until late January. The awards are in March. I'm not saying it's dead in the water, but I'm going to have to find somebody.
We'll do some research or something.
We'll do some research. But if there's if there's a listener who's excited, we were building an entire page that people could actually go to, click on their picks, enter their information, submit it, and then we would get a copy of it. They would get a copy. We've done it in the past. It was so many years ago that I was doing that on my own. But for right now, Jackson, let's say that our Oscar contest is on hiatus.
Yeah.
With hopes that we will be able to see it through this year. If not, we'll figure out something else fun to do for the Oscars. At the very least, you're going to hear all of our predictions as we get into award seasons, and that's probably where we'll start today. But we're getting pretty heavy into it. As we get closer to them, we're going to be breaking down everything about when the Oscar nominations come out. We're going to have if we agree, disagree, what got snubbed, what didn't, what we think should win, and what we think will win, which, by the way, are always two very
different categories.
It's very tough.
Which is a shame.
Yeah, but sometimes you have to go, I really hope that wins. I don't think it has a chance in hell. I think this will probably win. So we're gonna have a lot of special episodes, and it's the dregs of the films. So we'll probably drag ourselves to see one crappy movie during the week. It's not going to be a ton of heavy lifting. As it is right now, because Jackson and I are like, oh my god,
so many movies to watch.
So this is what we're looking at. It's coming up. We got some films to review for you today. We're going to take a little bit of a break these next 2 weeks from some of our usual antics as far as picking older films and classic films. Next week, we're going to call it our homework episode. We have a lot of films that we're going to try to take in over the holidays. We have some downtime. So next week is kind of going to be our catch-up episode of the year. We're going to try to see everything. Here's the list, Jackson. We'll see as much as we can.
Yeah.
Babylon, I think, is a definite we'll both see. We still haven't seen Till. Women Talking has gotten some nominations and buzz. A Man Called Otto with Tom Hanks is out there. Bones and All, critics seem to like. Living got some Golden Globes. The Sun got a couple. Then there's a couple foreign films that we, I know I plan on seeing Decision to Leave.
Please do.
Jackson's already
I'll watch
seen
that
it.
again with you if you want.
Right. And then two other big, probably it's a competition for best foreign film is Argentina 1985 and All Quiet on the Western Front. We need to watch. Jackson still hasn't
All
seen
Quiet on the Western Front was a foreign film?
I think it's German, yeah. Look it up.
Sure?
Look it up. Look it up, stud.
All right.
I'm almost sure it's a German film.
I also really want to see. Did you see did Triple R come out this year?
Triple R. What was Triple R?
It's an Indian film that got a lot of buzz towards the beginning of the year.
No, that's something I've never heard of.
Interesting. All right, never mind then.
Look up All Quiet on the Western Front. Jackson still has to see The Woman King, Empire of Light. I might actually revisit Everywhere Every Once. Jackson's seen it 20 times. I've only seen it once, but I'll
see it with you again if you want.
I'll twist my arm. So next week we're gonna try to catch up on all these films because the following week, that's our first show after the new year, that will be our best and worst films of 2023 episodes. So we're going to see as much as we can in the next 2 weeks. That'll be our final episode before
I guess it is German.
I know. Yep. Before
but it's also there's scenes in English.
Yeah. I think it's a German-produced film, though.
Got it.
With that said, we have 2 more episodes coming out.
I also want to see Woman King. I want to take the time to see Woman King, because I forgot that.
We got it. We got the screeners. Everything's here locked and loaded and ready for you to go. 2 episodes. We got the big homework review episode next week, and then right before Jackson ships off, we're going to do our best and worst of the year. We'll probably go on hiatus for a couple. I don't think we're going to be able to podcast from France, but we want to make sure we get those to you. And then when we come back, the Oscar nominations will be out. We'll have seen some of the crappy January releases. We're both excited about Plane with Gerard Butler. And
Plane, the movie named after a plane that only takes place on a plane for 10 minutes probably.
Megan, the robot girl doll that kills people like Chuck. I mean, there's so many great films.
These are classics. These are soon-to-be classics.
Yeah, 80 on Brady, right around the corner here.
Jeez.
So,
oh, wow.
2024 already, or 3. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of
Yeah,
myself.
jeez.
Already looking to be
2023 is so bad. We're just trying to get through it already.
To be a stellar year. Earlier this week, the Golden Globe nominations came out. I've never obsessed over the Globes like the Oscars. The Oscars to me are the big.
Yeah,
the Golden Globes,
I agree completely.
Are kind of, so we're not going to break down who should win, who got snubbed, and all that. But I do want to get. I'm just going to throw out some of the main categories, Jackson, and you kind of tell me just.
Yep.
Not predictions, but just your original thoughts. First off, what do you think about having the different categories? The best drama film, 5 best drama films, and the 5 best musical or comedy drama. Do you like that?
I think it would be no, because movies are more nuanced than that. Obviously, we've already seen with movies like The Banshees of Inisherin and Everything Everywhere All at Once, where it's like, is that really a comedy though? Because I mean, it's got funny moments for sure, but could you consider that a comedy? And it almost feels like a slight in some ways, where it's like, taking it down a peg. I'm not to say there isn't art and comedy, but it feels wrong.
I kind of like it for the actors. I don't know why. It doesn't bother me as much like going and actors got nominated for a because some some actors can do both, but sometimes comedy's hard, man. So and I like
of course.
I like the fact that if it was. I think if they just said we have to nominate 5 people for Best Actor, I think, like, for example, let's look at actress in a drama. You got Cate Blanchett in Tar, Olivia Colman, Empire of Light, Viola Davis, The Woman King, Ana de Armas in Blonde, and Michelle Williams, The Fabelmans. Now, if we just had a category of actress and there's those 5, now I go to the actress in comedies, and you got Leslie Manville in Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, Margot Robbie in Babylon, Anna Taylor-Joy in The Menu, Emma Thompson, Good Luck to You, Leo Grande, and Michelle Yeoh in Everything Everywhere.
But already 2 of those, we have Michelle Yeoh and what was it? What was the one you said that I've seen besides Everything Everywhere at Once?
Anna Taylor-Joy, The Menu.
Yeah, neither of those were really comedic roles for either of them.
But
those weren't.
See, but would there have been room? Like, would those women have not gotten recognition?
Maybe, but I think it's just strange to me, especially because I mean Michelle Yeoh is the least comedic of all of the characters in Everything Everywhere. She's the straight man, and so was Anya Taylor-Joy for the most part. So it's weird being like the 2 people who play the dramatic character in these 2 films are getting, and even a character like Ke Huy Quan, I wouldn't even consider being the comedic character in that too, because he's funny, but it's not. Has one of the most emotional moments of the whole movie. It's I don't know. It feels so wrong to me to just be like, I don't know. I think it's just upsetting to me that it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just a me thing.
It's probably just you. Here's another thing I wanted to ask you about. We got our best films. We have our 10 dramas.
Yep.
I'll run them down very quick. Avatar: The Way of Water, which we'll be reviewing in a bit. Elvis, The Fabelmans, Tar, and Top Gun: Maverick. And then
not a single movie in that category that I like, by the way. That's just tough.
Oh, there you go. And then picture, musical, or comedy, Babylon, The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, and Triangle of Sadness. Is there, again...
well, yeah, I mean, I wasn't even a big of a fan of Glass Onion,
you love more films in the comedy section than you do the drama. Wouldn't you have been
mad?
By far. Wouldn't you have been mad if they didn't get any recognition because everyone went, well, they don't quite live up to the
But that's that's the issue with the institution as opposed to an issue with the marketing. If they think that those movies are better, then that's just an issue with themselves. Like that's just that's a separate issue where it's like now you're just looking at art based on how serious it is. Like that makes no sense to me.
Yeah. We all know, I mean, if you're a regular listener, again, we don't know if it'll be his number 1 film of the year. He's still got movies to see, but we do know he's quite a big fan of Everything Everywhere All at Once. Second most nominated film. It got a lot of you happy with that? Golden Globes. I mean,
you know what? Was aiming for number 1, but I'm happy with number 2. I'm very, very, very happy to see Ke Huy Quan getting the recognition he deserves. I'm very happy to see Michelle Yeoh getting some nominations.
Jamie Lee Curtis, a bit of a surprise, bit of a dark horse. I didn't see her. She's great in the film, but I was not expecting a supporting actress nomination for her.
You know, she was great in the film. I would have liked to see the actress. I don't know her name off the top of my head, but the daughter who plays Joy, I would have loved to see her get a nomination. Yeah. I think that she had the stronger performance. A little more versatility. I think Jamie Lee Curtis's character was a little more flat, more of a one-dimensional character. But I would have loved to see her get nominated, and I think that's probably tough. Right. For her, at least.
And then I have to talk about the elephant in the room with you. Do you think Top Gun Maverick is going to get an Oscar nomination? Let's say we have 5 films in the drama that got nominated. We have 5 films in the comedy musical. Let's say the Academy does 8 nominations. They could do up to 10. It tends to be about 8. Is Top Gun going to get one? Just prediction. I know you don't want it to. I know you don't ever want to hear about the film again. But do you think it will?
I don't. It doesn't seem like an Oscar-y movie to me. It doesn't seem. Well, I just can't. I can't picture it. And if it does, I know damn well it's not going to win.
Right.
Well, the director that would be blasphemous.
The director did not get nominated. Tom Cruise. I'm almost positive. No, did not get nominated. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's the only nomination that it got, besides maybe a song or something. And I don't even know if it got. Yeah, I think it got a song. So that doesn't bode well for it when the only thing that people are recognizing it for is just the actual.
So if the director wasn't good enough to get nominated, right, and the lead cast wasn't good enough to get nominated. Why is it in the Best Picture category? Would be my question. Because it looked good?
That's the Hollywood foreign press for you.
It absolutely is.
The Hollywood foreign press.
I don't think it'll get an Oscar nomination. But then again, I've been wrong a million times about the Oscars, and I'm sure I will again. And people liked the movie. So,
all right. Well, last Golden Globe topic, and then we'll leave them alone because it's just the Golden Globes. But as I said, 10 movies nominated, 5 for drama and 5 for comedy, but only 5 directors can get nominated. That means 5 people are going to be left out. Out of the 10 films that are up for either comedy or drama, the directors were James Cameron for Avatar, the Daniels for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Damn right.
Baz Luhrmann for Elvis, Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin, and Spielberg for The Fabelmans. Anyone there not deserve to be there, and you would put someone else in? Would you substitute the director of Tar or Top Gun or Damien Chazelle for Babylon or
I would have substituted. I haven't seen Babylon yet. I would have substituted probably.
Triangle.
I would have loved to see Triangle. I would have loved to see. I was just gonna say Robert Ostlund get a nomination. I think he did a fantastic job with the direction of that movie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else I saw. I would have loved to see, even not a little love for Barbarian. I think that's an underrated movie. I would have loved to see. I know it's smaller, but I think that was a pretty
which one
solid hit. Barbarian.
Oh yeah. The horror films just, with the exception of
it's tough. I know, but I thought that was a really original piece, and I think it deserved a little more. But I'm sorry, I'm kind of blank. Oh well, I would have loved to see. I'm blanking on his name right now, but the guy who did Decision to Leave wipes most of the people on that list off the map.
Right. Well, so I don't think. I think it has to be an American film though to get a director nomination. I'm pretty sure the Globes work that way.
That's just lame as hell.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that's not the case for the Oscars, but for some reason I think the Hollywood. I could be wrong. Anyways, that's the Golden Globes.
Park Chan-wook. That's what I was talking about. I just remember his name.
They give those out in January or something, and then they always say it's the precursor for the Oscars, but I don't know. We'll see. I still have to check out and see what all the critics are picking for best films of the year. We'll talk about that in the weeks to come and see if we agree with any of them. The PGN podcast, everybody. Jackson Burns is my son. I'm Regan Burns. Gen X, Gen Z, talking movies. And I got a really, really bad feeling that we're going to butt some heads today. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe we'll... I feel like the last couple weeks we have not been in sync.
I think that we will be more in sync than you think, than you expect.
Okay, well,
that's my prediction.
I happen to be a member of the Directors Guild and am lucky enough to go see films there that many times, especially around award seasons, are shown, and then we get a Q&A with the director of the film afterwards. And it's always moderated by another member of the Directors Guild, usually a director of the same level or a kinship with them. We've seen Spielberg, and I've seen Scorsese, and we've seen the likes of everyone from Taika Waititi.
You always
Waititi.
Mess it up.
I'm the worst with that. Whatever. We've seen it. We've in our few years we've already
been around the block.
We've been around the block. But we have yet to see this gentleman speak, because this is his first movie in 16 years. We went to a screening in 3D of Avatar: The Way of Water, and James Cameron spoke afterwards, and the moderator was Guillermo del Toro, obviously Academy Award winner for The Shape of Water and Pan's Labyrinth and Nightmare Alley and many others. James Cameron, before we get into what we thought of the film, Jackson, what did you think of the Q&A with James Cameron?
I thought it was very interesting to hear them both talk. I think that he said a lot of things that was telling about my opinion of the film. Mm-hmm. And I think that they both said a couple of takes that I wasn't too hot about. But they're both very interesting guys. I respect what they do, both to a degree. Mm-hmm. Del Toro more than Cameron, I think. But yeah, that's what I'll say. I think it was interesting and informative.
Yeah.
What about you? What'd you think?
You know, it was... The thing that kind of threw me a bit is when Guillermo del Toro came out and talked about how... And they're very good friends, by the way, which I had no idea, and we learned.
Yeah, I guess they've known each other for years.
Yeah, apparently Guillermo del Toro put him up and gave him a place to live when he first came to
all
the
the way
United
around.
States.
Cameron put him up in that place.
Oh, yeah, Cameron put him up in a place. You know, Guillermo kind of came out of the gates talking about how Terminator... First off, let's go over James Cameron's very small library of films. There's Terminator, Terminator 2, the Alien sequel, Aliens... True Lies, The Abyss, and Titanic. Obviously,
and the first Avatar, obviously.
Oh, and yeah, obviously the first Avatar.
Yeah.
And it was, Guillermo said something like, "Your movies have always touched so much on the theme of family, and and they were kind of like, well, there's the mother-daughter between Ripley and Newt in Aliens, and I guess Sarah Connor,
the father-son in Terminator 2.
Yeah, and I was just like, and then, it was funny. Cameron mentioned how one of the films that influenced him the most was Dr. Zhivago.
I did not. I'd never even heard of that movie.
It's a movie set in Russia. It's a romance. Omar Sharif. It's a epic romantic movie. Imagine Titanic without the sinking ship.
Got it.
Dr. Zhivago. Very epic, but just not all the special effects and the action stuff.
Yeah.
I just found it, Cameron is an amazing filmmaker. There's no getting around the fact that he is an absolutely amazing visual film director. I never really saw him as that groundbreaking of a storyteller, though, or of his movies having a ton of underlying moral, themes. You know what I mean?
Depth.
I can go, but he has made some incredibly entertaining and visually stunning films, and you can't take that away from him. But I did find it a little like, I'm
gonna disagree with you kind of heavily here, and here's why.
Okay.
Here's why.
All right.
I agree with you saying that he's not like a storyteller. And look, I love some of his movies. Loved Aliens. Mm-hmm. Loved Terminator 2. Yep. Great movies.
Two great films. And you haven't even seen Titanic, have you?
I haven't seen Titanic, but the movies that
it's a great film. I know it's
no.
been,
I'm sure I've
yeah.
seen scenes of it. My directing teacher showed a scene from it actually to talk about directing, and I'm sure that when James Cameron takes his time, ignores
he takes his time.
When
It took him
James
16
Cameron
years
takes
to
a
make
second
this.
to ignore the minutia of what's going on when it comes to
Right.
technicals, I'm sure that he can make a great movie. James Cameron is really good at hiring the right people, I think. His movies, when it comes to the Avatar movies, they look fantastic. There's no doubt about it. Avatar 2 looks beautiful. It is groundbreaking. The fact that they did all that in water is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's definitely an improvement. You can tell he's been working very hard with his team. How much of that can you put on him, though? You know? How much of that can you put on him? I don't know.
Here's what
is my point.
Okay, well, then let me. What if I tell you this? James Cameron is responsible for almost every inch, frame, pixel that you see up there. James Cameron created and built Lightstorm. He has been, trust me, I know enough people in it that he is the driving force creatively behind everything. Now, don't get me wrong. You don't make a movie worth $100 million, $200, $300 million. I think this film was worth $300 or $400 million to make.
Yeah.
You don't do that without bringing in a crew of incredibly smart, artistic, and technical engineers. But everything, he is if nothing else, and he'll probably be the first one to admit it, is a control freak. Everyone in the industry knows that.
I know he is.
So
and
he wants
this
to
is why
learn hands-on. He said something very interesting during the Q&A. He's like, when I put that camera on my shoulder and that ding, I remember that in my head. He wants to shoot the film. He wants to be underwater with a tank on, shooting it himself. So, in his defense, as much as I know about the world of Cameron, I've never worked on a film or know anyone. I mean, I don't want to disclose anything, but Jackson and I both happen to know someone pretty high up in his crew who's been working on this film for the last 15, 20 years. It is, if it's a James Cameron film, it is a James. Sink or swim, he's responsible for everything you see. And that comes down to the script, which, by the way, not that strong. That comes down
surprise.
That comes down to some of the performances. By the way, some of the performances, not that strong. Trust me, he is the one responsible for all of it. So you got to take the
That's
good
fair.
with the bad.
I think I'll be willing to give him more respect if there were not numerous allegations of him underpaying and overworking his VFX team. That's something that I will never respect. I think that is just toxic work environment. Part of filmmaking is community and creating something together, and that's just the antithesis of that. And so that I can never ignore. And it's always in the back of my mind when I'm watching his stuff.
I think
there is one thing that he said
ahead.
though during his talk that really ticked something in my head where I was like, now this makes sense. Mm-hmm. And it's when he was talking about, first of all, Guillermo del Toro came out and the first thing he said was, it's so refreshing to see a real movie. And I was just like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? That was the first thing. Where I was kind of like, this is a little pretentious. And then at some point in the talk, he says, he was talking about kind of the spectacle of this movie and its depth and its range as far as world building goes and visuals. And he goes, you know what? It's always nice to know that if my script isn't that strong, I can always later just go, well, we'll add more to the show. That was the direct quote that he said. And I went, that's the perfect way to sum up this movie, is not a great script in any capacity, but a lot of show, a lot of flexing, technically.
Right.
That doesn't pay off. I mean, it looks great, but at some point you go, wow, how many montages of swimming can we get before I go, this isn't going anywhere? I mean, it's over a 3-hour movie, and I was falling asleep by the end of it.
So I guess we're getting into the meat of the film. It is just over 3 hours, about 3:10, I think, which is about 40 minutes longer than the first Avatar, which was 2.5. I was highly underwhelmed with the first Avatar. And I'm not jumping on a...
I was too.
I'm not jumping... You. In fact, it's interesting because I haven't seen it in years. You just went and saw it recently.
I thought it was okay. I didn't hate it, but I wasn't crazy about it either. I think I was right down the middle on it.
Yeah. But I remember my biggest problem with the first one was the story was so underwhelming when it was just a retelling of Pocahontas and John Smith, and I'm like, and some of the dialogue felt really wishy-washy. And to be honest with you, those are my biggest problems with this second installment. Is that
absolutely
the script did not feel like nothing surprised me. I knew where the story was going the entire time. I knew how it was going to end up. Some of the dialogue is really rickety. But I will say this. The visuals on this and the 3D has come leaps and bounds from where it used to be. By the way, side note, if you are going to see Avatar,
see in 3D.
I read somewhere it's like if you're seeing this movie in regular 2D is like drinking a fine wine out of a paper cup. Why are you bothering? See in 3D. The visuals for me elevate my thoughts of the film because I know I'm looking at it and I'm going, the script is not fantastic. The dialogue is not fantastic. Some of the performances, especially the kids, I thought were just a little heavy-handed. All the adults are fine. Sam Worthington's fine. Zoe Saldana's always strong.
Probably the best actress in the whole film.
Yeah,
Zoe,
she again turns in the best performance of it. It's interesting to hear Sigourney Weaver doing the voice and
she was great too.
And she did the face motion capture of a younger version of her character from the first one. Stephen Lang, I actually thought was a little better in this one, the villain. They try to give him this kind of hokey reason to not hate him that I won't spoil. That he's given some backstory and a new character that plays a big part in his life. I wasn't crazy about that. But I have to recommend this film because I think this is a film. Look, if I had watched this film on our TV tonight, Jackson, the way we just watched something, I would have been right there with you. But the visuals and the battle scenes and the 3D just had me sucked into the end. And it actually did not grow tiresome on me. And I agree with you. You could have cut 20 minutes of water montage of kids diving in and grabbing hold of a fish and being pulled along, or someone swimming with the whale creatures. You could have trimmed that. But did it ruin the film for me? No. I'm going to recommend people see Avatar The Way of Water in 3D on a big screen. I'm not dying to see Avatar 3. I wasn't dying to see Avatar 2. But I think this one is a step up. If I had given the first Avatar a C, I'm giving Avatar The Way of Water a B.
Wow. Okay. Well, first off, I want to address the massive elephant in the room. And that is, what the hell was that kid Spider doing in this entire movie? Some of the worst acting I've seen in a movie in ages. This is a multi-million-dollar movie.
I'm not going to disagree, I guarantee, with anything you're getting ready to say. I told you some of the performances, his was the worst, especially the kids. I just thought, man, where is the next Dakota Fanning or Haley Joel? Where's that performance by a child that's standing up? Boy, you almost wish that he could hide behind the motion capture.
Man, it was really rough.
Yeah.
And I mean, every character in this movie is just the most one-dimensional. I mean, it's so tough.
Yes.
And I just don't get it.
That's okay.
He spent 16 years making this movie, and this is what you have to show for it. It looks great. But I don't think that, for me, I don't think that elevates the story. I see them as two separate entities. Because whereas in the first one, I feel like a lot of the visuals elevated it, where I was going, okay, this is world building. This felt like, how can we make the technology better and then base the story off of that, as opposed to the other way around. If you're not using the tech to elevate the story, that's when you lose me. And I think that this is a very strong step forward for future filmmakers. I think that this opens a lot of possibilities for people as far as, making movies seem more real when it comes to CGI. And I also think this movie's a massive piece of shit. I really really don't like him.
Okay, I really think you need to separate the filmmaker from the product you just saw.
You can't though. James Cameron is Avatar.
You cannot call the film that you just saw, Jackson, a piece of shit.
I can, and I will a million times over. I don't think that. I think that the basis of filmmaking is story, and when you have no story, you have no film. I watched a 3-hour and 10-minute very good video game cutscene.
I'm gonna throw this right back in your face right now.
Go ahead.
Okay. What is the movie that you watched just recently that the friend lent you the DVDs for, which had no story whatsoever? It was just visual shots with music.
Tree of Life?
No, not Tree of Life. Someone gave you. It was the one that Coppola did, or
Koyaanisqatsi?
Yeah, Koyaanisqatsi.
I didn't like Koyaanisqatsi.
But is there a story there?
Yes.
There was?
Yeah. Okay.
It was just visuals.
First of all, this comparison does not work.
First off, I will quote you. You were like, the movie is just beautiful shots of things with great music underneath.
There isn't a narrative, but the story being told is obviously the industrialization of the planet. It's the fall of humanity. That's clear from watching it. You go from the beautiful shots of the Sahara Desert into the fast-paced shopping of people.
Right, and when you read the
script... That's so completely different. You can't... No. This comparison does not work. You're comparing a documentary film to a narrative. It's so different for me.
Okay.
When you have no story, when there's no real emotion... What is this built off of?
Okay.
The foundation's broken.
Okay. Take a breath. Listen to me.
Okay, I'm taking a breath.
Just listen to me. Sometimes you can see a film that has an amazing acting performance in it with no story. And you can still enjoy what you're watching because it's a good performance. Sometimes someone could take a fantastic script. They could take Shakespeare, which is an unbelievably well-written piece of art, but they can't act in it. And the acting was horrible. But if you've never seen it before, you go, damn, that's a really good story. Great language. And then sometimes somebody paints a picture, makes a movie that visually looks amazing and really gets this sense of going visual, but the story isn't very good. Or sometimes,
but that's the only one that doesn't work though, because the story is the foundation.
Right,
an actor cannot act without
Jackson,
a story to base it off of.
But you can't call something a complete and utter failure if it succeeds in some things. That's the way movie making or television goes. Sometimes.
Did you think Enter the Void was shot well?
Incredibly well.
Right. So what's the difference?
Because it was the same type of shots over and over again.
So what was it for Avatar? It's the same. He does the documentary shooting style.
And I did not appreciate the same shots over and over again, just repetitively in something that doesn't stimulate me. And by the way,
what's the difference then?
By the way,
I'm lost here.
I never called Enter the Void.
You called it practically every other name you could. You said it was the worst movie you'd ever seen in your whole life.
It is one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, so what's the difference? This isn't one of the worst movies. I don't think this is a good movie. I really don't think this is a good movie. Is it one of the worst movies I've seen? No. But to say that my take is ridiculous, I think it is a failure of a film. Because what is the basis of what filmmaking is trying to do? It's evoke emotions. And I didn't feel that. When the movie ended, there was a woman behind us who was sobbing. Right. And I wish so badly that I felt what she felt. And I couldn't have felt farther away from that woman in that moment. Okay. I was like I was in a different theater. I just, when it comes down to it, you cannot make a film without a story first. And this film has no foundation to base it off of. And I think that if it had succeeded in more things that would have compensated for that, as in acting, as in cutting down a lot of time, pacing, as in better writing, I think I would have liked it more. But it's lacking everything except for pretty visuals. And while I do respect that heavily, I respect all the VFX artists. I respect everyone behind the scenes who worked to make this movie feel great. When it comes down to it, every other aspect of this movie falls so flat on its face. The writing, the acting, with the exception of Zoe Saldana, and I will say Sigourney Weaver as well. I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss. I don't dislike this movie as much as you think I do. I know.
I'm just going off your words. You said it was.
No, I know.
We sat through a lot of pieces of shit. This was not a piece of shit.
Right,
I mean,
but it's
every
James
shot looks like
Cameron.
You have to separate the art from the artist sometimes.
No, I'm saying it's James Cameron in that you should go in expecting more. It's not like I went into this going, okay, right. It's 80 for Brady. We're sitting down to see Slock. He made Titanic. He made Aliens. He made Terminator 2. These are fantastic films, very highly rated.
Okay.
At this point, you should know things that I have been learning in my directing 1 class.
Okay. You're good at okay.
I'll take the heat for this. If this is my bad take of the year, then I'll take it.
Listen to me. Is it going to be on my top 10 list of the year? No. Okay.
But a B is a long way to go for something that just looks good.
I just told you that there are so many elements of this film that are not good. That would have made.
No, I know, but it's very interesting to me that you can give something a B without having something better than that.
It entertained me visually. The story wasn't there. I knew 20 minutes in, I'm like, I know where the story's going. This is not a great script. The same way I have watched films where I go, like the Fisher King. I just pulled that one out of my head. Very confusing, not a great script in my opinion, but Robin Williams and Jeff Bridges acting so incredible that I go, I really enjoyed watching that, even though the story wasn't that good. If something else entertains me or draws me into it, and it's not the story, okay, it's not a classic, it's not an A+, the story, blah, blah, blah. But when you have something that is so masterfully technical that I was just blown away through the battle scenes, through the water stuff, through the close-ups of the face and seeing what they had done with it, all of that kept me enthralled and entertained enough to go, that kid can't act. The story's, subpar. That's where I meet in the middle. That's when I go, this is a groundbreaking visual piece of work with subpar story, subpar acting, some okay acting, and some scenes that I thought were done extremely well. The battle scenes, the mixing of the fire and the water, the giant, it was all that I meet in the middle, and I go, that's a B. I was entertained.
Fair enough.
I think people are going to be entertained by this. I think the audiences walking out are actually enjoying this 3-hour film.
I think people are going to like it too. I just think that this couldn't have been farther from what I seek in filmmaking.
I think we're both agreeing, and I think you can.
We are, but I wasn't entertained is the issue.
Well, that okay.
I would have to be completely honest, if I had been by myself, I don't know if I probably would have. I wouldn't have walked out, but I don't know if I would have stayed awake because I was just tired. Right. It's a long time to sit in the theater with 3D glasses on.
It is. I agree with you. I agree with you.
So
on that.
Yeah.
So
I think
I smell a 1 or a 1.5, maybe a 2 if you're lucky coming on this.
Look,
wow.
Once again. I have all the respect in the world for every single VFX artist who worked on this film, and every sound person who worked on this film, and everyone who tried to develop the software for this film. And that's what I'll say. So right. I'm going to give this movie a 3 out of 10. Like I said, it's not as bad as you thought it would be. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10 because yes, the visuals are very good. And that goes a long way until it doesn't anymore.
Right. If Avatar 3 came out next week,
yeah,
would you go see it? Are you like?
Of course I'd go see it.
Of
course
done.
I'd go see it.
I'm done. You'd be like, I'm done though.
I wouldn't be first in line, but I'd go see it. I'd go see it because it's like, listen, I've invested a net of 6 hours into this franchise at this point, you know?
Right.
What's another 3 hours? I'll see it. I'll buy into it. I'm sure it'll look fantastic.
Well, I don't know. Just give you some numbers here. How much money do you think the original Avatar made?
Oh, well, I know it's the most highest grossing movie of all time, but I don't have a scale for that.
It is
800 million.
$2.9 billion. Just under $3 billion. Opening weekend, by the way, for Avatar: The Way of the Water this weekend.
Yeah.
They thought the prediction was between 150 to 170 million. It fell a little shy of that. It was 134 million. So a lot of news right now is the studio panicking? And everyone says, no, take a deep breath. This is a marathon. It's not a race. There's going to be a lot of box office over the next 2 weeks as the holidays and
holidays get through and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
But the problem is it's a film that everyone wants to see on 3D. They only have so many screens they can do that on. It is a 3-hour plus movie. You can't show it 7 times a day. You can only show it a few because it just takes the whole day up.
True.
So I don't know. I'll be curious to see. All right. So there you go. A heated Avatar. I like when we disagree sometimes.
I do too. That was a good conversation. I understand where you're coming from. I think I just have different perspectives.
Like I said, the minute you started speaking, I put a preface. I bet I'm going to agree with everything you say.
Yeah. Yep.
And I did.
Yep.
I did. Yeah. The Spider Kid's horrible.
It's tough, man. If you go to see that movie, I FaceTimed my friend last night who got a chance to see it as well, and we were talking about it. He also wasn't a big fan. And he said if you for some reason ever see this movie again, he said, I want you to take count of how many times the group of kids says bro.
Yeah, there's
I was
a
like,
lot
really?
of bros.
He's like, you need to take count because it's a lot.
There's a lot.
Like,
of
all right,
those.
I'll do. If I ever see it again, I'll make sure to do that.
Every time they said that, I had to keep reminding myself, okay, they learned that from their father, who was a human, and that's showing. But then I'm like, he doesn't say it. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't hear him say it once.
But that's what in my head I kept saying, well, they're learning it from him.
Yeah.
Or from Spider, maybe, but no one's saying it except these Navi kids are saying bro all the time, or butthole or something.
And even the water kids say it too.
Yeah, I didn't quite. It's a bad script. But visually,
that's good. What are you gonna do?
Visually, couldn't take my eyes off.
Yeah.
All right. We said we're gonna put to rest some of our usual antics the next coming weeks because we have such a huge slate of movies to see, and then we have our best and worst. But we did last week announce that we're gonna watch a classic film or a cult film or something that we might have missed from one of our fans. TV and film director Bruce Letty works in the business. I've worked with him before, is a friend, and suggested that we watch a 2001 movie called The Guard. Now, this is a small Irish film written and directed by John Michael McDonough. McDonough. John Michael McDonough, who just so happens to be brothers with the director Martin McDonough, who did obviously won the Academy Award for 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, and will most likely be nominated for his film The Banshees of Inisherin this year. I guess big brother, little brother, I'm not sure which one's the older, but has also been trying to be a filmmaker, and he's made several films over the last decade or two, but hasn't quite got the notoriety. This movie, very much like In Bruges or The Banshees, they must be very good friends with Brendan Gleeson. He's the star of this. He plays a
A lot of small characters from Banshees were also made some appearances too. I was like, oh, that guy was in Banshees. That guy was in Banshees.
Yeah, a lot of the Banshees guys, a lot of the British actors. Mark Strong, who everyone will recognize as he plays villains and everything. He's a gangster in this. A couple people from Game of Thrones. Don Cheadle, who also produced the film. He's one of the executive producers. He's the lone American here as an FBI agent who teams up with Brendan Gleeson's kind of savvy but snarky policemen. They call them guards over there in a very small, quaint town of Ireland, just outside of Dublin, very much like the Banshees of Inisherin, where a body is found murdered. And there may or may not be a series of gangsters in town smuggling drugs. It's a short film. It's only about an hour and a half. It brisks by very quickly. I enjoyed it. I got some thoughts on it. I think maybe this last 15, 20 minutes of it kind of falls into Hollywood stereotypes a little bit. It becomes a bit of a buddy partner, 48 hours kind of, we're going to be partners and do this thing. But boy, with two great actors like Brendan Gleeson, who's I could watch him do anything, and
he's fantastic.
And
he really is.
Don Cheadle's always strong. I forgave the movie for a lot of the formulaic stuff, traps that it kind of fell into at the end, because it starts out very funny and very dark. But before I give my grade or any other thoughts, Jackson, what do you think of The Guard?
Yeah, I think I agree. I liked this. I didn't love it, but I did like it. I thought that a lot of the comedy was very strong, very solid. Brendan Gleeson did fantastic. I love the scene where they first find the dead body between him and
the constable.
The other, the constable, and talking about 5.5, and he's like, there's a movie called 8.5. Just
seven.
Yeah.
That's another. Are you gonna name? Are you
gonna name movies?
You gonna name fucking movie names?
All those numbers.
Yeah.
So a lot of funny moments. I appreciated the ending a lot. I think that they could have gone for a more. I think I agree they did fall into some stereotypes during the last act, but I think the actual ending was a strong note. I think there's some bold move for McDonough on that one. But also at the same time, really made me want to watch In Bruges.
Yep.
As much as I hate to say it, I'm sure he's sick of the comparisons, and this did come out before In Bruges. Really made me want to watch In Bruges.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's so tough that, one, we know it's the brother of the guy who wrote and directed In Bruges. It's a gangster film, which In Bruges is. It takes place in a very small town where gangsters are not normally hanging out in, which is the same. There's a lot of similarities there.
There is. But In Bruges is got something to it.
In Bruges is a masterpiece. That's an A+. Did I mention that? How's that In Bruges ever come up?
Yeah, I know.
Every single episode somehow comes up.
Someone's got to count every time we mention that movie because it's too much.
But I really enjoyed it. I appreciated that it was an hour and a half. I don't think it outstayed its welcome, and I think
agreed.
I think it's the kind of film that could have if it wanted to. I thought Don Cheadle doing kind of your stereotypical American reaction to everything. The scene where he is giving the speech to all the police officers, and Gleeson raises his arm, and he's like
just buggering him the whole time.
Just starts spewing the most racist stuff in the world, and he's like, "Well, I'm Irish, of course I'm racist." Like,
he's like,
it's in our blood. That's why are you surprised? That's what we are.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it. I would love to say that I loved it. And I'm trying to separate it from In Bruges and similar films and go just rate it on its own merit, and I think I am. And it's not a slam against John Michael McDonough. Your brother just might have.
Don't say it.
I'm not saying it.
You don't have to say it.
I'm just saying maybe he's a little bit stronger in the writing field. I don't know. This is the first film I've seen by John Michael, and I would certainly watch more. I very much enjoyed it. The Guard for me gets a very solid B-.
All right, and I'm going to go with a similar vein. I'm going to go with a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Still enjoyable. Still good. Very solid for what it is. But I don't think we're breaking the bank here.
B is most definitely something. B or anything in the B's with me. And I'm saying go see it. Check it out. We saw it on Prime. I think we ordered it on.
Yeah, Prime. Mm-hmm.
Prime had it as well. Yeah. So as we mentioned, next week we got a slew of movies. We were going to do an early review of Babylon. We teased that, and we actually could watch it, but Jackson's dying to see it on the big screen.
I gotta see it on the big screen. I feel like I gotta.
Yeah. So instead of watching it here on the TV and a DVD, we're going to probably go check that out in the theaters this holiday weekend. Maybe make a family thing out of it. And we'll all just sit uncomfortably in the theater during the supposed orgy scene and deal with it.
Oh, great.
But we do have a sneak peek or early review of a movie that some people have seen at film festivals, and I think was released in a couple theaters just, for Oscar consideration.
It'll be out on Netflix in a couple days, though, I believe.
Yeah, it's coming out on Netflix this weekend, and I'm just double-checking here. I'm pretty sure that Adam Driver did get nominated for a Golden Globe for this movie. It is, I believe, the only nomination that the film White Noise, it's a new Netflix movie. He got nominated for Best Actor in a Musical or Comedy. So we might have that. We might have that.
Okay.
We might have that debate again. I'm just checking to see if Greta Gerwig, who also stars in this, we mentioned her earlier, she's directing the upcoming Barbie movie. No, I do not see her name on the list. I don't see anything in her screenplay. So I think the only nomination this movie got was for Adam Driver. To be honest with you, if I had to say what got nominated from the film after seeing it, I think that's the only thing I probably would, at least me personally. This is from director Noah Baumbach, who's been around for quite some time. I remember when he exploded on the screen with a movie with Ben Stiller and Greta Gerwig, who he has worked with a lot, called Greenberg, that I very much enjoyed. Film you should check out, Jackson.
Yeah. And don't forget his hit Madagascar 3. He did do that too, by the way, while he was writing Marriage Story, which I think is the funniest thing ever.
He did write and direct Marriage Story, which is fantastic. Adam Driver, The Squid and the Whale. He also did a little bit of writing for Wes Anderson. He wrote The Secret Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
Oh, I never saw that.
Yeah, and the Mr. Fantastic Mr. Fox he also wrote.
Fantastic film.
So he's definitely an eccentric filmmaker. He's done some very, I'd say, almost esoteric films. And he's done ones that are pretty much a little more simple. Marriage Story, I thought, was a very basic. And
we literally, before we just finished watching this, like literally right before we started recording, just finished watching
this is a hot take. So I mean, we finished it just about an hour ago and sat right down to do the podcast. And
I want you to go first in this one, because if I'm going to be completely honest, I don't really know. I'm in between on this right now. I'm not. I want to hear your thoughts first.
Okay, Adam Driver, I don't want to say he's one of the best actors working right now, but I do find him to be one of the most interesting. I think that he always makes interesting choices, not always the correct ones. Like, I love his work in Marriage Story. I wasn't a huge fan of him in the Star Wars movies. I thought he made some. It
is interesting because he does do those big. I mean, he's in that big Jurassic Park-esque, futuristic
65,
65 film. But I mean, he was also in Jim Jarmusch's The Dead Don't Die.
Yeah.
He kind of floats around the art sphere, which I appreciate a lot.
Yeah, it's weird that he can kind of trip in and out of the blockbusters. There's very few actors that get away with that. He'll do these small, independent, artsy films. I've really liked him in. I'm blanking right now. Jackson, pull up Adam Driver's IMDb while I'm thinking about it. He is the bright spot, and I'm gonna say.
I don't know what you were talking about. Black Klansman? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, Black Klansman, the Spike Lee movie.
Yeah,
loved him in that.
Oh, did you ever see Annette?
No, I didn't. We both meant to see it. That was another psychedelic, trippy art film.
Yeah, that one got really split reviews.
Yeah, you know what's weird is that when we were watching White Noise, there was a part of me going, is this that trippy film that he did last year?
That's funny.
It's just now coming out. And I'm like, no, this is another trippy film. Because that was something that had music in it or something.
Yeah.
With that said, with Adam Driver's fairly good performance in this, I hated White Noise.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this. Okay. And here's the good. Some really interesting choices on how to shoot it. We go from everything from really kind of almost blockbuster action sequences with trains crashing, and there was some humor to be found in just the kind of stampede of people in almost like a end of the world asteroid type thing. The film is broken into 3 acts. The first act which I disliked the most, deals with this kind of pseudo-intellectual debate about people and who they follow.
I'm surprised you dislike that one the most.
Who's tortured souls, and there's this long scene between Adam Driver and Don Cheadle where they almost have a duel about who was a more tortured soul. Was it Elvis or Hitler? And
that was one of my favorite scenes. I'm shocked you didn't like that.
Yeah, I just didn't quite get it. This is a film where I go, there were parts of it that kept my interest, that was somewhat entertaining, but then the 3 stories are so completely diametrically different that I don't know how they all... There's that chapter. Then the second chapter is almost like the government and misinformation and panic and pandemic undertones. And then we go into a whole third act, which was almost a bit of a relationship duality with fear of death or being and what your purpose is. And through all of this, you've got this, everyone loves to go to the A&P grocery store and check out the new butcher section. I'm not the smartest book on the shelf. I'm not really sure what anyone's trying to say with any of this. I don't know how it all held together. I felt like I watched almost 3 separate short films that just happened to have similar characters in it. What the through line was, I don't know. I didn't hate the film. I hated the fact that I didn't get it. And I don't know if I don't know if I blame my intelligence or I blame the director going, you didn't do a very good job of making me know what this was. I couldn't even tell you what the theme is about, White Noise. There's a scene at the end where there's a TV that switches to white noise, or I guess maybe we're constantly fighting all these external things that are trying to dictate our, making us afraid or making us do things we wouldn't normally do, or go, there's what is it that we wouldn't normally do? We wouldn't follow someone like Hitler, or we wouldn't eat fried chicken with little chili peppers on it. I didn't get it, and I hate the fact that I didn't get it, not the film itself.
Okay, so White Noise for me, I mean, each of the chapters, the one connecting factor for me is death. I mean, even in the big speech that he gives about Elvis, very different people.
Elvis and Hitler.
Elvis and Hitler. I mean, the one thing he says is like the 2 things that differentiate these 2 people really is death. And then so you get that whole speech, and then the whole second half is kind of like he's driving towards or away from his death. It's kind of metaphorical for trying to run away from the truth that you're going to die one day, until eventually he realizes that, I am going to die one day. Like he says, it's kind of, I think one of the most clever scenes was the whole it turns out you're going to die eventually, not tomorrow, not the day after that, but 15 odd years when you're 70 or 80 or something, you might die. I thought that was very clever. And I liked the idea of the third act, which kind of dealt with, fear of death. Here's what the movie did right, is that I was reading reviews when it ended because I was very curious about what people were thinking. And someone said this film, a big overarching theme is deja vu with this movie. And this film has a lot of deja vu to it. I see a lot of these sequences and I go, wow, this feels like a Spielberg movie, or wow, this feels like... And I like that a lot. I think it complimented that. And it kind of felt like different takes on classic movie tropes, like where... scenes would start and I'd be like, oh, this is the action sequence, but I didn't know where it was going. So it felt fresh. And I like that a lot. I like the way it was shot a lot. I think that carried a lot of weight. It looked great. The colors were fantastic. Love the production design.
Sometimes I thought he got a little too tricky with the camera, and it took me out of it.
Okay,
Every once in a while,
that's fair
every
enough.
once in a while, like it's one too many crane things going on. Like you don't necessarily need that, but go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're all good. Now to what I don't like. Once they started talking about fear of death and dying, I knew where the movie was going, in a way. Because I in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, they're doing the whole thing where it's like we're all nihilists and we're all like nothing matters because we're gonna die, and they're doing that whole thing.
Right.
And then eventually they're gonna be like, we have to live, and I'm like, this is just everything everywhere all at once again. In a way, the themes were very on par.
I almost the whole at least 4 or 5 times during the film, I went, okay, I get what you're doing, but you're failing so much in comparison to a film that came out a few months
ago. I'm like, listen, I'm all for the absurdist philosophy, but at the same time, this just happened,
right?
And it was no offense to Noah Baumbach and Adam Driver, but it was a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is an adaptation of a book. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I heard from a lot of people online that he put a classic spin on a newer spin on a classic tale that seems to have made fans happy. So good for him on that front.
Yeah.
But I'm really in between on what to think about this because I know it's gonna stick with me. I've been thinking about this movie a lot, even in the time we spent on it.
Huh.
There's a lot that I don't understand still.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Here's what made Everything Everywhere All at Once was an absurd movie that I completely understood. I felt what they were trying to say, and it took me on a journey that I completely enjoyed. This was an absurdist movie that I was lost and confused the whole time.
I agree completely.
And every once in a while I would kind of go, okay, I kind of get what you're saying there, and then it would just flip the page, and I go, what? Wait. And I don't know. Maybe that's a good thing sometimes. I'm not going to say that I have to have everything spoon-fed to me, but the confusion really, it pulled me out a bit.
The thing with Everything Everywhere too is that when I rewatched Everything Everywhere, I always pick up on things where I'm like, oh my god, that's so clever. They have this happening in the background, or the first shot of the film takes place after the events of their kind of big conflict at the end. Small things like that, where it's like you rewatch it and there's still nods that you didn't get in the first time. This movie, you feel like you rewatch, but you can't catch those because you're too busy trying to understand the things that you didn't get the first time.
Yeah,
that's the difference.
You know what annoyed me a lot about this film too is that there's a lot of scenes with the entire family, with him, his wife, and he has 3-4 kids. And they're all talking at the same time. I couldn't tell. I was like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, I bet they're saying the wittiest funny things, or I'd catch a clip here, but then I'd miss 2 there. And I don't, there was a choice made. It's really in the first 20 or 30 minutes while I was really checking out, because I'm like, there's 5 people in the kitchen all talking at once, and I don't know what anyone is saying. I don't know what the choice was, if they had just given it a little space to breathe or something, but I get he wants to be realistic, but as an audience member, I was like, whatever they just talked about, I have absolutely no idea.
I didn't find any of the characters that likable besides Adam Driver.
Yeah,
I felt very disconnected, especially the Greta Gerwig's character, the wife. Her motivations.
Not her best performance.
No, 100% not her best performance. I was very disappointed by her. And the kids were just mostly annoying. I mean, I understand that. I'm sure that a lot of the annoyance is probably because it's like supposed to represent the white noise of his life, and he's kind of going through the motions and blah 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 blah. Yeah. And I mean, great, but it made me disconnect more as opposed to what I think he was going for in this.
Yeah. An interesting.
But I will. You know what? I will say.
No, go ahead.
At the bare minimum, a valiant effort for trying something new, because this is definitely very stylistic in a way that I haven't seen before. So I respect that. I appreciate it.
Again, Noah Baumbach has made some really good films, some that I have not liked. This unfortunately falls into the latter half. I'll always tip my hat to someone who's trying to make something new. I thought Marriage Story, which just came out a couple years ago, was by far his masterpiece.
Fantastic, 100%.
And his best film so far. I think this is one of his weakest. A for effort, but a D+ for me.
Ooh, tough. I'm going to go with right down the middle. I'm going with 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
That might change, to be honest. I don't really know how I'm going to feel about this film tomorrow. It's still fresh in my mind. I need time to process.
Yeah, it's weird. Sometimes you step away for a while. And there have been films that I have revisited. I have seen films like 2 or 3 years later, and I will go, you know what? That's not a bad film. And I fell asleep the first time. Sometimes you just are not ready for a film. And it could be, and then sometimes you're just in a goofy mood and you see something like I've done that with you. I've shown you movies that don't hold up, but we're like, man, this resonated when I was 20. Why is it not working now?
There's even movies that you showed me that I didn't like. I just rewatched Blade Runner, the original one, for the first time, and I saw that. I saw that for the first time and I liked it, but I wasn't like, oh my god, this is. I watched it for a second time and I was like, oh man, this is maybe the best sci-fi movie ever made.
It's so good.
God. Oh, it's so good.
Even all the different endings. I like all the endings. I like the ones with the voiceover. I like the ones without the voiceover. I've
only seen the one cut. I've only seen the last version, the final cut.
There's like 4 or 5 different ways that film ends.
Yeah.
And they're all fantastic.
Of course there is.
And you know what? The sequel was pretty damn good.
Oh, I love the sequel too.
Yeah.
Denis Villeneuve killed it, and the cinematography is crazy.
Not as good as the first one, but
I agree. There's a lot of people that like the sequel more though, which I think is a strange take. I think that you know what? I miss that. I miss the 80s effects.
They're
I miss doing it practically. It looks better. I'll say it. It looks better. The city looks so real.
I think the last big practical movie we had was Fury Road. I don't know if anyone's good at it.
And that looks so good.
And it's fantastic.
It looks so good.
And you can tell. You can just tell when something is being done live. I don't care how good the effect. It still could be entertaining. It could still be a good film, but nothing beats. Like if you pull out like a 70s film and watch this car crash stuff, and you're like, there's no greens.
It's like they did that. They did that. And there's always the VFX snobs that go, well, Mad Max Fury Road still had CGI in it. Yeah, of course I know it still did. There was massive storms in it. But the point is that the main characters and the things you're focusing on, that's tangible. You can feel it. It's different.
Yep. So there you have it. Geez, how long was our... My God, it's late. This is our latest one yet, isn't it?
It is. It was the first one doing I feel like a night shoot.
A night shoot
here, but yeah.
Okay, so let's see, Jackson. Is Babylon the one movie you're still excited to see from the list left, or
I'm very curious. I'm curious and I'm nervous because I know I've told you this, but I've had friends that came out of Babylon and said it's the best movie of the year. I had friends that came out of it and said, wow, I just wasted my time and I hated it. So I'm really curious on what's going to happen with this. Yeah. Like I think I told you this, the one thing I've heard is that the ending is strange and you're not going to expect it. And so I'm very curious to see how that turns out. But only time will tell.
All I know is I auditioned for this movie, Babylon, and I did not.
I always forget about that.
Yeah, I auditioned for it, and
that's so crazy to me. I keep forgetting that you did that.
Some guy named Brad Pitt got my role. No, I auditioned.
I was like, no way.
No, I auditioned for a much smaller role, so I'm very curious to see who got it.
Who got it and how they do it differently than you did.
Next week, I am gonna slam. I'm gonna be like, I love this film except for the guy who
that
played
one guy. Oh God, ruined the whole thing for me.
The film director, whoever the film director is, I was supposed to be a film director of one of Brad Pitt's movies or something like that.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm curious to see Babylon. I think of the ones that I haven't seen, to be honest with you. I think the ones I'm most excited to see, I'm looking at the list. I'm excited to see Decision to Leave. And
you should be.
And I do, you know what? It got a few nominations. I'm excited to see Women Talking. I've heard good things about that.
I'm excited for Women Talking. I'll say I'm very excited for All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah, that's supposed to be visually just amazing, and I like going in having seen as many of the foreign films. Everyone has said the foreign films is going to come down to Decision to Leave, Argentina, 85.
Bardo.
1986. Bardo. And All Quiet on the Western Front. Like it's like a 4-man. There'll be a 5th one, but it's those 4 that are going to be battling. I think Bardo's kind of faded a bit, just didn't done well, and it seems like the other 3 are kind of gaining steam. So, all right. So again, we will be back next week with our big movie bonanza reviews. Try to see as much as we can, and then right after the new year, get ready for it. It is Regan and Jackson's best and worst films.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
I wonder what'll be at the top of Jackson's list. Even if that's not a surprise.
I'm very curious what's going to be at the top of your list, to be honest.
I don't know. Maybe it's Avatar: The Way of Water. Maybe that piece of shit.
Maybe it's Top Gun Maverick.
Maybe it's Top Gun, but you don't know. I was by the way, both those movies got the same grade, I believe.
They did. And also, both of those movies got the same grade from me. So isn't that fantastic how that works?
All right. Please make sure to follow my son on all the major platforms at Jackson N. That's an extra N, Burns. You can follow me at Regan.Burns over on the Instagram. And, of course, we need you to like and subscribe our page, give us 5-star reviews, and spread the word. If there's anything that you want us to watch in the new year, please continue to send in all your selections for classic films. I have a feeling in January and February we're gonna need some good movies.
We're gonna need a rally here. It's tough.
We're gonna need to rally through the dead season. We know how bad it was last year. Oh my God! It seems like only yesterday Men was the top film for us to see.
Oh boy!
Bum bum bum. Anything else, Mr. Burns?
That's it. Go out. You know what? Go see a movie this week, you guys. Go see. You know what? Go see Avatar. I'll say it. You know what? At the end of the day, you have to, because it is Avatar. And while I don't think it's a good movie, you know what? I think the amount of people that worked on it and the visuals are worth seeing. Or go support a local theater and see some a little smaller, some a little stupid.
Yeah.
Not stupid. I shouldn't have said stupid. Something smaller. Yeah. Go see a stupid indie movie or something. I don't know.
Dumb film.
Yeah.
All right. Until then, we are the PGN Podcast. Thanks for listening. Love you, buddy.
Love you too. Bye.